changes.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in Sunday, December 6th, 2020. And if you buy a PlayStation 5 off of the internet or even in person, this is kind of scary to say, make sure you're not buying a concrete brick or otherwise. And I know that sounds insane, but I'm gonna explain it to you. I'm gonna take you over to Fox 13 out of Salt Lake City and show you the story. And then I'm gonna explain to you two things. One, how to avoid all of these common scams buying and selling any high dollar expensive item. And also specifically as a seller on eBay and other platforms, how to protect yourself if you are selling a high dollar expensive item, any item really for that matter, but definitely on these popular, hot, expensive items, how to completely protect yourself and how to handle something in the event that somebody tries to scam you or tries to pull a switcheroo or anything of that nature. So it's really important. I see this come up in the Facebook groups a lot. People are scared to sell these high dollar items, especially things like Xboxes and PlayStations and Switches and graphics cards and whatnot. But we're gonna talk about it. Let me show you the story first, and then we'll talk about how to protect yourself and how to not get scammed and how to successfully sell these items for really good profits. And just before we go over to here, remember tonight is the last night, December 6th through the 7th, to pick up any of my training products that are on sale for 2020. They are relevant, they are good, they are completely perfect information to start your business, eBay, Amazon, Posh, social media, accounting, all of that. It's all linked down below so you can grab all that. And we also have a 15% off special on my Reseller Genie, which is a complete reselling, inventory tracking, and profit sales bookkeeping program. It's awesome, it's amazing. I'll link the video tutorial and the purchase for that one with the discount code. That one's 15% off. And below all of that will be all of my products, which are all on sale for either $2.20 or the entire packaged bundle for $20.20. Retiring those, just one day left to grab those, and then we'll be moving on and getting ready for 2021. Thank you, guys. Let's check out the story. Okay, so here's our story from Fox 13, Salt Lake City. Orem man buys PS5 on eBay, gets chunk of concrete by Jeff Taves, December 4, 2020. The new PS5 is one of the hottest items this holiday season, and a concrete block, not so much. Nevertheless, an Orem man who thought he finally snagged Sony's new gaming system ended up receiving the latter. The Orem Police Department said the unidentified, for good reason, 38-year-old man ordered the PS5 from eBay for $878. Now, a lot of you might be like, oh my God, that's price gouging. First of all, you can't illegally price gouge an item that is a non-necessity. In other words, gas, food, water, bread, things like that, yeah, of course. Medical supplies. A PlayStation 5, your kid does not need. They may want it for Christmas, but they do not need it. And I know a lot of you disagree and think they shouldn't do that, but it's not price gouging. It's not illegal anyways. You might call it price gouging as a definition, but it is not against the law. Okay, $878 also is not insane. That's $100 and some odd dollars in fees, $115 in fees. And assuming that's the all-in price, another $30 for shipping and insurance and tracking and signature, you're at $733. That one with the disc tray, I bought it was $499, and it comes to like $545 in tax or with tax. So when we take that away, there's only $188 in profit left over for this seller if it was legitimate. $188 in profit on a $550 purchase is not enough money. 30% is not going to cut it. 35%, 32% just doesn't work. There's too much risk. So that $878 is not really profitable. And that's why a lot of them are going for $900, $1,000, $1,100, $1,200. That's where you really need to be to make it worth your while. Okay, so due to limited supplies and heavy demand, the second-hand price was not exorbitant. It's not. It's really, really not. Less than $200 in profit is just simply not worth it. I would take it. I mean, if you had 10, you sold 10 all quick, you made $2,000, sure, but 10 of them cost you $5,500. Think about that risk versus reward. Okay, so when it finally arrived to his doorstep, inside the box, inside the PS5 box, was a chunk of concrete. Police say the man should get his money back thanks to eBay's buyer-seller protections, but warn others to be cautious when buying items from sellers who have zero feedback score. Well, obviously, don't buy the hottest, craziest, most frauded item, overpriced, retail, blah, 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 from somebody with zero feedback. That was mistake number one. But there are some people that get this stuff, start new eBay accounts and sell it right off just to get the money, but they're usually inexperienced and they're not going to ship it to you correctly anyways. Please avoid that. Everyone's got to start someplace, and buying from zero feedback people is fine, but don't buy the hottest $1,000 item from them. If you want to buy a t-shirt from somebody with zero feedback, you're probably good to go. This is not the way to go. Mistake number one. So as a buyer on eBay, you're pretty much, and Amazon, you're protected 100%, and there's very little chance you'll ever get scammed. As long as you fund it through PayPal, you can file a PayPal chargeback. And if you use, instead of your PayPal balance, if you keep your balance at zero or withdraw it and don't use your balance and use a backup funding source to pay for this, make the funding source, the backup source, a credit card, not a debit card, a credit card like an American Express or a Capital One or something like that, you have a double coverage. You can file a credit card chargeback in the event that PayPal's chargeback goes against you. It shouldn't, but just on that rare instant that it does, you have a backup way to file a case. Thus, you can't really get screwed as a buyer if you know what you're doing. It's very, very easy. Also, I looked, and my PlayStation 5, when it came in a box, I think it weighed around 14 or 16 pounds. I doubt it was 20 pounds, maybe, but I don't think it was quite that heavy. And that was with the box and everything before it was opened. That concrete brick, I looked it up, weighs 33 pounds almost. I knew that. My pavers out front of my house weighed 21, and I knew that that concrete brick was probably almost double that. Not quite, but almost. So the weight difference there is astronomical as well. So that's another tip off. But as a seller, you don't have quite the luxury of being the buyer. And so you have to protect yourself in other ways, including, you know, insurances and signatures and tracking and serial numbers and IC3.gov. So I want to come back over to me on my camera, and let's talk about some of the ways that you can protect yourself. Now that we covered being a buyer is pretty safe, ways to protect yourself as a seller if you decide to sell these high dollar expensive electronics, especially the most hot, crazy off the shelf items like PS5s and Xboxes and iPhones and tablets, but also just normal electronics. Maybe you sell a $1,000 Bose surround sound system, or maybe you sell you know, a car amplifier that's expensive, $500, $600 car amplifier, something along those lines. So let's figure out how to protect yourself in those instances, and I'll bring you back over to my camera. All right, now that we took a look at that story really quick, let me just go over a very, very short list of ways to protect yourself as a seller selling high dollar items, especially electronics or other hot, you know, high profile targeted items. So number one is always record photos, videos, and serial numbers for your own records. You want to have all of that on hand if anything has a serial number. If it doesn't, identify some markings, some scratches, some nicks, make marks, invisible marker, whatever you have to do. Even the tamper-proof seal stickers you can pick up for like $5 on eBay or something, I'll link them below, that you can stick on things so that they're not opened. All of that sort of stuff will absolutely help you. If nothing else, it will defer and deter a lot of the potential scammers who see that and go, oh, let me not do this. So that's number one. Number two is photograph a lot of that stuff for the photos in the listing. However, with a serial number, there are two things to remember. Number one is don't provide the entire serial number in the picture. If it's like a 10-digit serial number, put like the last 4 or 5 in the picture, but don't provide the entire thing. Protect yourself so that in the event of a problem or a case, you have the whole serial number, but the buyer only has part of it. So if they try a switcheroo, you can pull those photos up and be like, hey, look, here it is. Also, do not provide anyone a serial number, EIN or IMEI of a cell phone or a tablet, iPad, iPhone, Android, until after they've made payment. If they ask for it before, could be legitimate. What they're trying to do is check it out to make sure it's clear to activate. It's clear from the blacklist, it's not lost or stolen, it doesn't have an outstanding bill, and it's not attached to any other accounts or people. However, there are some scammers that are very creative and can take that serial number and clone it and use it for warranty things and other phones. It's been an ongoing fraud thing for a long time. Don't give it out until someone buys it. If they're not willing to buy it because you won't give them the number on cell phones and tablets, somebody else will buy it without asking, I assure you. Don't get your greed cloud eyes on where you can't see past that one person. There are tons of other people who will buy it without risking your serial number and IMEI out to those people. If they buy it and they pay you and you're ready to ship it, they're going to get that number anyway, so then it would be okay to go ahead and message them, and then they can check it while it's on its way. The way to protect yourself even more to make sure you're good with it is check it yourself before you list it. That way you don't have to worry about them pulling some crap. Call the cell phone company, your carrier, give them the serial number, make sure it is completely off your account, clear, no bills, no loss, no stolen, no financing, nothing. Make sure it's good for someone else to activate. That's all you have to ask. and you'll be all set. And when they get it, they won't be able to argue it in any way. Record the name, number of the person you talked to at the store or at customer service and take a log of that. Okay, so that's how to, take photos and video and protect yourself there. Number 2 is always add signature and insurance. Now, signature isn't required until you hit the $750 mark for the price of the item. That doesn't include the shipping. If the price of the item is $750 or more, you have to have signature. I always add signature as soon as it gets into the triple digits. Like $70 items, probably not gonna add signature. But if it's like $170, I'm probably gonna add signature. So whatever you feel comfortable with, but as soon as it gets up into those triple digits, I start considering the signature. Now remember, if you're shipping priority and a lot of other services through other companies, depending on how you do it, you get some included insurance. So depending on the value of your item, you may wanna consider adding insurance. I typically will if it's a big gap. So let's say priority gives me $100 free, my item's $130, probably not gonna add extra insurance, but if I was selling a $100 item or an item for $1,000 that had $100 insurance, I'm probably gonna go ahead and add the extra insurance. Also depending on what the item is and how breakable I think it is. So pack well so you don't have to worry about that, but adding insurance can be good. If you're selling a ton of items and spending $5, $6, $7 each for the insurance, then you might want to reconsider that. But if you only sell one item every once in a while, it's a good idea to go ahead and pay for it because that one item could wipe out everything else. Okay, so that's insurance and signature. Remember, over $750 is required. On Amazon, I use signature almost on everything over $100 because they're more strict about that. They don't have like a set kind of policy. They do, but they're way more strict if you can't prove that it was signed for. So keep that in mind as an Amazon seller. All right, number 3 is if it arrives, everything shows up and the buyer tries to scam you. 2 types of common scams. One is a switcheroo. They order a brand new iPad from you or a like new iPad. They put their broken one. They complain that there's a problem with it. They want to return it. They put their broken one into the box. You get it back and you're like, this isn't my iPad. It has a huge crack. I didn't send it that way. The switcheroo is where the serial numbers will come into play, where you will argue it and fight it. Now you have an option of 50% refund, but in the event that they didn't even send you your own item back, that's where you need to fight with the serial numbers and the proof of evidence so that you don't have to issue any kind of refund. Also, you have an IC3.gov option. So IC3, Ice Cream Charlie 3, the number 3, .gov is a way to file an online crime fraud report for anything purchased over the internet directly to the FBI. You'll fill that out, file that report, it asks you for evidence and photos and what happened, and then call eBay or PayPal or have them call you and tell them you have an IC3.gov federal FBI fraud report, you have the case number, and you want them to take care of this. 99.9% of the time, they will refund any money that you're out, if you're out any, or they'll stop any holds, and they'll eat it on their end and go after the buyer as long as you have evidence to support your claim. The FBI is going to make you, under perjury, threat of perjury, sign that you have the evidence and are telling the truth. So don't use this to try to reverse scam. You will go to prison for perjury and committing internet fraud. Interstate commerce fraud, because it's going across state lines if it did, and if it's over a certain amount, it can be a felony. The state of Florida, I believe, is $300, so keep that in mind as well. Don't try it. And in case any potential scammers are watching, don't try it, you'll get caught. So that gives you an option through IC3.gov. If it's the same item, and let's say they buy it from you and a couple days later, they drop it and crack it, and then they're like, oh my God, it showed up crack, and they send you back your right item. Now you have to prove through photos the same way that it was good and not get hit where they're like, oh, it must have got broken in shipping. Common thing. No, you broke it, but we can't prove that. So eBay's going to generally let them return it, and then you have to do the 50% refund, but a cracked screen might take a $500 iPad down to $250, and you're gonna be out some money. So you'll have to fight it and do an IC3.gov that way, or contact eBay and hope that they'll eat it, and even if the buyer gets their money back, at least you won't be out anything. Not the ideal situation, but it's protecting yourself if you have all that evidence. Again, photos, videos, serial numbers, etc. So all of those ways are ways to protect yourself as the seller, making marks, making highlighters, security tags, non-tamper sticker proof, stickers to stick on things, having photos, videos, serial numbers, markings, all of the distinctive features and things, making sure that you fight cases when people ship stuff back and try switching it or breaking stuff, having signature and insurance. These are all the ways that if you follow all of these steps, that 99.99% of the time you will be just fine and you will not be out any money. With that said, scams happen. eBay fails in some cases. A lot of platforms fail on these in some cases. And if you do end up out a little bit of money or all of the money even, take it as a learning lesson, take it as a cost of doing business, and hopefully all the profits from the other items will more than pay for it. It happens. It happens to the best of us, and it will always happen. There's no perfect way to handle this. Drive Time with Dave had a return earlier this year that was like a $30,000 purchase order for him. And the customer got it and stuck them into a system that they were using that fried all of the parts, all of the cards that he shipped, and they sent them back to him, and he was out. He had to refund 30 grand, and everything that came back was broken. Now, thankfully, he was able to fix them all and get them sold to someone else, but his repair time and cost and shipping and everything cost him like $5,000 or $6,000. So he only ended up making 24 or 25, so he was out for, $5-6 grand. But he could have been out $30,000 because somebody did something that they didn't know what they were doing, plugged these things into the wrong system, it fried them all, and then they shipped them all back. Oh, you sent me bad stuff. And he could tell what happened. And he was like, are you kidding me? Like, obviously I didn't send you all this stuff bad. It was 10 of them at $3,000 a piece. And he had repaired and tested and plugged them all into his system 100 times. He had used them himself. It all worked good. He had to refund 30 grand just on a snap of a dime. So it happens to everyone, and there's, it's very hard to prevent 100% success rate. So just remember, if it happens, protect yourself the best you can. Take the, we all take a return and a lump on the head every once in a while, but we do what we can. So that's how you protect yourself. Don't be scared of electronics, especially not $20, $30, $50, $70 electronics. Don't be scared of those at all. The $100, $300, $500, $1,000 ones, those are where you have to protect yourself even more. All right, if you have questions, comments, concerns, please leave them, rockstarflipper@gmail.com. I would prefer if you left them down in the comments section, as I can read all of those a lot quicker and it won't clutter up my inbox, but you are welcome to email me 7 days a week. Remember, my training packages, the 2020 package and all the individual products, $2.20 or $20.20 for the whole bundle. Being retired, they'll be linked below, and the inventory tracking package with complete profit, sales, expenses, and line-by-line inventory, SKU numbers, everything you could need all in one place. My Reseller Genie, that's linked below with a 15% off sales special all month long as well. Discount code Rockstarflipper. And there's a tutorial video right above that purchase link. You can watch it, you can see what it's all about, and then you can decide for yourself if you want it and click below. Thank you guys. As always, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you again tomorrow.